how do you keep the fire burning?
My gosh, malalim to, malalim.
Malalim,
Because you
it's-
know what? If we can figure it out, we would be a bestseller, like New York Times best-selling book. We would be like,
Diba?
billionaires ourselves.
Actually, one of our
Maybe our listeners have advice.
they do actually. One of them, his name is Ron. DJ Ron says food. How to keep the fire burning is food, which in a way I agree with him because what better way? Okay, speaking from a man's point of view, what better way to entice your man, other than sex, of course, is food. If a man is happy if he's got a full stomach. That's one thing for sure. Pero I don't know. Is that the same with you? I mean, I know you're in a diet and all, pero what does that when you come home, you look forward to a good meal.
Yes, I think that is still true. Definitely. I think some more than others, some men more than others. But the old saying about the way that a man's heart is through his stomach is still possibly true because you know what? It's not just the food. The food, is, of course, is, most people love, good food. But it's that act of that caring act. It's a very primal, feeling when you come home. I mean, I'm not trying to be sexist here or anything because some people might misinterpret it, but it's very primal, the roles of men and women and the hunter-gatherer and the type of things. So maybe that's tapping into a primal feeling. When you come home and your significant other prepares something for you, it's their love language. And that is like, wow, all right. So it makes you feel special. It's not just the food, it's the gesture and how it makes you feel, etc. So I still think it applies, and it's very strong.
It does,
Don't
doesn't it?
underestimate the power of a home-cooked meal. Or, one comedian says it really well. It just, if you want to really totally impress your man, just make him a sandwich for no reason whatsoever.
Make
Something
him a
as simple as that. Like he's watching TV, and you just pop over there with just a sandwich, and any sandwich dish just pop in front of him. And he'll just be blown away because he'll be like, oh my gosh, no man has ever turned down a sandwich in his life made by a significant other.
Oh, definitely.
And it's just such a simple gesture. So
Meatballs, cheese.
yeah, I mean, but it's an unannounced sandwich in there, unless they're on a low carb thing, right?
Look, diet pa rin eh. Pumasok
I mean, you never
yung
know,
diet
but
eh.
the gesture of it, I guess, is what
Yeah.
he was talking about.
And then speaking of food, I just remembered something that one of my favorite gifts that I received from my late ex-wife. It was one of our anniversaries, and we couldn't really go out because unfortunately at that time I had a lot of work to do, so I came home late. One of the best gifts that she actually ever gave, she actually cooked me salpicao.
Nice.
When I got home, salpicao, garlic rice, and fried egg. And I was so surprised because she doesn't cook.
Wow.
She
See?
learned that day how to cook that. So I was really shocked, and of course I gave her a lot of loving after that. But it really surprised me because I saw the effort that she
There
put
you go.
in,
That's what it's about.
and that's a major thing to have when you're trying to put in effort in keeping the fires burning in your relationship. Mahirap yan. It's really difficult when you try to do your best and then the other doesn't appreciate it. Yun yung mahirap eh.
Yeah, and that's why it'll always be a very complex issue because you can do what you can do everything that, let's say there was a handbook, right? But if it's not reciprocated by the other party, then you're going to have problems. So it's about really not taking each other for granted. And I'm not saying it like these are the answers. These are just some things I think that have worked out for me and for maybe other people I know. But there is no actual handbook on it. If there was, like I said, we would be billionaires. And we would. But if you just, it's about showing effort. It's also about not taking each other for granted, which is very difficult to do, especially after, 20 years, 30 years and stuff like that. It's finding something that surprises you or finding a way to keep your partner surprised. It sounds a little cliche because people say it all the time, but date nights, I mean, I think those...
Oh, my parents still do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a commitment because sometimes it's not always about, you might have to drag yourself out for it, but then that pays dividends later on, because there will be times you're not in the mood, but you dragged yourself out and you made that effort for your partner, and then it's a consistency later on that will pay off.
Right.
That's why I think it's making that effort. I think also Kako brought that up earlier about persevering and keep trying, because you're just showing the other person that they're worth it, and you're not always going to get it right, and sometimes you can do your best and it will still not work out, but that doesn't mean it was all in vain, because it's just that's life. We're all on a journey, and sometimes, as sad as it is, that person is there for a certain amount of time only, but you want to know that you gave it your best, because maybe if for any reason you gave it your best and it didn't work out, but it's made you understand for the next person, boom, you're now prepared for that relationship.
Okay, real quickly, we have a new listener. Her name is Chetse. She says, "Good morning, DJ Brian. Nagulat ako nang narinig ko kayo this morning. I wanted to listen to more songs to relax, but this talk made my morning. Very inspiring, nakakabusog." I like that, nakakabusog. Lalo na sa work ethics. Ang dami ko pong napulot. Salamat. Listening to you this morning is not an accident. It's a happy accident. Charot. May charot sa dulo no?
Happy. There are no such thing as accidents. No, mistakes.
Happy mistakes.
They're just happy accidents.
Happy accidents. There you go. Which is true naman talaga. And speaking of happy accidents, the one thing that people seem to misinterpret when it comes to relationships is effort. And as we as you mentioned earlier, James, reciprocating effort is something else that people interpret from, kasi iba-iba tayo eh. We're different people, we interpret things differently. And what's sad about it is when people don't appreciate what your significant other does. And like I said before, I remember during the first episode, when Coach Chappie was here, we were talking also about relationships and how to keep it somewhat alive. I always I have this thing called my little box of love. In each day, you try to do something that makes your significant other feel important. Because your significant other, be it a man or a woman, does something to make, nagpapapansin sila. Something as little, for the women, something as little as they go to the salon without telling you, and then they go home and they're like,
notice me.
Yeah, notice me. Tignan mo naman ako. Parang ganon. And then all of a sudden, you're like, anong ginawa mo? Yung parang ganon. Some guys would do that. Anong ginawa mo? Anong nangyari? No, you have to open your eyes and look at that particular person. So once you do notice, you say, honey, ang ganda mo today. What did you do to your hair? Oh, honey, I'm glad you noticed. Things like that. Women, sometimes women are very cryptic when it comes to things like this. They would always do things, and they want you to figure it out on your own.
That can also be a problem for a lot of guys. Because it's like you're on a quiz show and you didn't even know.
Right.
You're on this little game show that you have no idea you are a contestant, and you fail, and you're like, well, I didn't even know we were playing. Wait, hang on a second. So I mean, it works both ways.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is so true, but you also have to take it the point of view of the guy who's kind of maybe, drowned in work and whatever, and he may not notice, but his love language is different, right? So this is why in some relationship advice, they talk about love languages, because we all have a different way of expressing it. Yeah, your partner may not notice your hair or your nails, but, they may buy you tires.
Tires. Yun!
Because they want you to be safe,
Yeah.
And that's their love language. They ain't the most romantic things, but that's the way they are. That's the way they express. So instead of trying to force that person to be who you want them to be, your cliche, your mold, also accept that that's their way of expressing it. And then maybe somewhere along the way you can meet halfway, because there's also a lot to be said about earlier what we said about making an effort. So this is my love language is buying you tires, for example. And her love language is you notice my hair. Maybe we can meet somewhere in between, buy hairy tires. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just saying, we can't. Yes, okay. I might have to come down from the tires thing and might have to.
I'm starting to picture the hairy tires already.
I gave you a visual.